Order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, good morning. Consideration of agenda items. Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I have an addition.
Yes.
Requesting approval to purchase a 2020 Chevy Express cargo van from Ranger Chevrolet in Hibbing, Minnesota at Minnesota state contract price of $23,593.60. This van will be used for the Sentence to Service program, and this would go under administration.
Okay, we'll make that item E under administration.
Move to approve with the addition.
Are there any other additions or corrections? I heard of another one. Rich, did you have another one?
I want to pull item E from the consent agenda.
All right. You can pull item E from the consent agenda. We'll put that under F, under county administration.
Okay.
Sorry, Doug. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. I move to approve with the corrections. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The balance of the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Liz, no bills today? No. All right. McLeod County Government Center update. Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Morning.
It's going to be a quick, brief update again, guys. It's which is a good thing. It's one of those where, in my mind, I feel like I always have more to talk about, but that's almost perfect. Budget-wise, we're right on track. The only thing I know that we're going to finish up some dialogue, and it's just finishing some of that roof discussion and pushing some of that final change orders topic through. That's previous dialogue, so that was the only thing we'll see a little different on the budget. Otherwise, we're off and running, and probably more than anything, we'll let Sam again talk about schedule. So hopefully, I can keep coming forward with no budget surprises.
All right, go ahead.
Building schedule, we're right on schedule. If anything, we're ahead of schedule. All the first floor is about 90% framed. They're starting to frame on the second floor. Got about 5 weeks of rough-in, mechanical, electrical, and so on. And we'll start sheetrocking mid-April, and everything's on schedule. Any questions?
All right, any questions for these gentlemen?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ron.
I appreciate the tour. I got through walked through a couple of weeks ago, and I was just amazed how things can change up there. And I'm sure we'd be really impressed with what's going on over there now. And yeah, I'm waiting for the days when the sheetrock is being hung, and then we'll take a look at it again. But,
It does. It changed that, the feel. Right now, it's such an open space, and you can see the studs, but once that rock is there, how much that kind of changes that perception of what it is, and you can feel it.
okay. Mr. Chair, the windows and things, exterior components, those will go in later in the spring, or?
Yeah, they'll be in, we just approved the submittals on them, so they're ordering material. Should be about 4 to 6 weeks for material, and then
One of those where I know we'd spend some time dialoguing on it, because it is a bit of a discussion point. Do we take those out right away or not? Since we know they're going in the same spot again, a lot of discussion. Let's leave them for now, so trades damage, any of that stuff. Let's minimize it.
Sure.
We'll swap them out. Pretty straightforward. All the sock cutting and the precast has been done. Sam's got all that out of the way, so the big pieces are out of the way. Then it's just a swap out.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
thanks.
Go ahead.
What about the rotunda or
The skylight has been ordered. It was ordered this week. It's about 12-week lead time. And they're up there framing that right now, so as soon as that's ready, we'll grab a ball and we'll set it right on top. Yep.
Thank you. All right, anything else? All right, thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Assessor's office. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Sue.
So I'm here concerning Miller Manufacturing here in Glencoe. They filed tax court petition. The first one was for pay 18. We hired Clay Dodds. I'm not sure, I'm figuring you all know this is the manufacturing place west on, or going north on 22 there between us and Hutch, just outside of Glencoe here. They filed a tax court petition. We hired Clay Dodd. He works for Nicollet Appraisals in Minneapolis. He did a preliminary appraisal for the property. Looking at his appraisal to our value, we are high on it. He gave it quite a bit of functional obsolescence due to the existing manufacturing process. I mean, they've been adding on warehouses, but they haven't done anything to the actual manufacturing part of the building. That was back, well, Nordic Track was in there for quite a while, and I'm not sure that was before my time or what was in there before that. The building's quite old, so because of that, the ceiling heights are quite low, and it's not really conducive for a manufacturing plant, so the saleability of it is very limited. So he felt that there was some definite functional obsolescence to the property, even with the larger warehouses and the new warehouses that they have added on to it. The petition is 7 parcels. They actually own 10. So the newest addition to, I guess it'd be in Northwest there, is not part of this petition. So talking with their tax rep, we have agreed on a settlement. Our appraisal came in roughly around $6 million for all of it. Like I said, though, the petition doesn't include the Far West warehouse. So if you take that out, the settlement offer that we gave them would be what our appraisal is minus that building. So for pay 18, we're looking at a settlement of, right now, currently those 7 parcels are $5,805,000. And we offered them and they took $5.3 million. And then for pay 19, our value is $5,614,600, of which we offered them $5 million and they accepted that petition. And then we're looking for a stipulation for pay 20. The current value is $5,614,600, and then we're looking at dropping that down to $4.6 million. When you add in the roughly $2.5 million of that warehouse that's not part of the petition, we come back from that 4.6 back to about the $6 million that the appraisal came in at. So there are some significant reductions.
Sue, you said the 2020 reduction was to 4.6 million,
Correct.
and then the new warehouse addition is
Roughly about $2.5 million.
2.5 million. That will stay at that value?
Correct, correct.
So that should put us at about 7.1 million then.
So it's, yeah, right.
All right.
Can you make the adjustment for 20 through the board approval?
Correct.
And then, so what your motion is going to do is going to authorize me to resolve on your behalf the tax appeals for payable 18 and payable 19 at $5,000,003 for payable 18, $5 million for payable 19. And then you're authorizing Sue to adjust the assessor records regarding those same parcels at $4,006,000 for pay 20.
And Miller Manufacturing is
Accepted.
on board with all of this.
Yes.
So our offices, we've learned something from this with from this assessor about the different construction, right, for the future?
Right, well, right. You know, one of the things is challenging also is that we don't have the access to the sales that he does. So he actually does a sales study, which he pulls sales throughout the whole Minnesota state, which we don't have that access. So it's challenging when we don't have the sales to try to determine what an actual market is on something that structure that size. But looking at what his appraisal came in with the sales and with his functional, these numbers are probably more in line.
Okay. Mike, anything else?
We faced this building height deal, and for you and I, if a ceiling is 12 feet here and 20 feet over there, we don't care. In the manufacturing business, that's a big deal. We faced the same thing with the 3M appeal that we had 10, 15 years ago. And there they have ceiling heights that vary from 12 to, I think, to 40 feet. And what that means is that they have to take it off of a forklift to restack it, put it onto different forklifts, and move it through that area that is lower. To us, that's not a big deal. In the manufacturing world, that's a big deal. It just is.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ron.
Mike, just help me understand that. The higher the ceiling, the higher the value, or vice versa?
The less amount of labor, because what they have to do is they have to transport from one end of the plant to the other end of the plant. If they can use that 40-foot the entire way, then they don't have to use as many trips, and the labor is less, the time is less, the mistakes are less. For us, it's no big deal. For them, it's a big deal. And 3M, we had the same thing, and when I first heard it, I was going, oh, that doesn't make sense to me, but.
And part of it too is the marketability. You know, to come in, if Miller Manufacturing would pull out and they would try to sell it to another manufacturing company, that ceiling height would be a deterrent to the market.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just to add with that, Miller Manufacturing has added on, as you know, multiple times, and part of the reason is, like Mike said, the usability of the facility. Yes, they have a lot of space that's existing, but there's clearance regulations for the product, and the majority of what they have in that building is warehousing. So, like you said, if the ceiling heights were the same throughout the building, yes, the usability of the facility really varies between manufacturers. So.
And they could get more money if the manufacturing part of it had a better clearance height than what it currently has.
And one of the things that Sue talked about is obsolescence, and that means that it doesn't pay to have it. So when you have these different ceiling heights, it becomes less valuable. Banks typically have a huge amount of obsolescence because they have these big atriums that have no usable function whatsoever, but they look nice. And that isn't worth anything in the market. So that kind of obsolescence means that they're investing $1, but they're not getting a full $1 in return for it.
And in our office, as we were valuing the property, we put a lot of value in the warehouse. We felt that as those new buildings were added on, talking with Clay and other counties, those new buildings, even though the warehouses are brand new and they're highly functional, because of that, the manufacturing part of it being the way that it is, it takes away the value of those warehouses as well. And that's something that we didn't recognize. We did recognize the obsolescence on the manufacturing part of it. We didn't on the warehouses. We didn't look at the building as a whole. And that, so you have, when you look at it, because of the manufacturing part of it, they would sell it for that. And that obsolescence rolls over into those other warehouse areas.
Sounds like we learned a lot.
Well, and a part of it is too, is that it's like when you remodel your own home. If you put $100,000 into a new kitchen, you might get 60 or 70 cents of that back. So that 30 or 40 cents is you're doing it for your benefit, but it's not going to gain you anything. That's obsolescence.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the changes for pay 18, 19, as well as the upcoming changes for 20, and authorizing Mike Young, County Attorney, to conduct business on behalf of the board.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion?
The only correction that you ought to do is you're authorizing me on pay 18 and pay 19. You're authorizing the assessor on pay 20.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Make those changes, yep.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Under County Administration, review the calendars. Rich, go ahead.
Okay. The last meeting, then we had a workshop, and at our HHS meeting, had good discussions there about upcoming threats on the new viruses that are in the world. So more to come on that as time progresses. Also, on Friday that week, had a meeting with Ryan, John, and Adam about a bridge replacement on one of our county ditches. Working on ideas on how we're going to handle that. Nothing concrete yet, so. And County Extension Committee on Tuesday night, the 25th. Attended AMC on Wednesday and Thursday. Came back and had a AMC conference. Was good. We had Governor speaking to us, reiterated that the counties are not going to be responsible for the DHS overspending, shall I say. And then one of the highlights was the last day of the conference, the 4-H awards that were given out. And I was pleased to see that one of the counties that my daughter is the extension person for was one of the award winners. So that was kind of a nice surprise for me. Had a SWAC meeting on Friday, and then to round out the week, I was attending the state wrestling tournament, which is getting a lot of publicity on how good the medical staff is, both in the high school league and the Excel Center, for basically saving a young man's life. So that brings me up to today.
On the 18th, board meeting, Health and Human Services meeting. On the 19th, I had a long-range planning meeting with Redwood County. Also on the 19th, Hutchinson Joint Planning meeting. There we had discussion on some airport property with very future plans of crossing the runway that needed to be addressed. The 25th, Judicial Ditch 15 with Renville, Sibley, McLeod. This was originally started with Renville and Sibley on a redetermination about a year ago. Then they discovered that there are 4 sections of land in Collins Township that was affected within that redetermination, so they had to kind of back up business and address it as a new ditch, bringing McLeod County in through that redetermination. 28th SWAC meeting, 27th, I did attend 1 day's worth of the legislative conference. I was able to duck in to hear presentations from the DNR and the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. A couple notes from the DNR. Both were I think, justifying their request within the large bonding discussion at the Capitol. DNR has been asking for $196 million. 70 million of that is for asset preservation. They said they have about 2,800 buildings throughout the state. And that money would go anywhere from roads, bridges, culverts, shelters, etc. in terms of repairs. They said if you were to add up the value of all the buildings that are owned under the DNR, you get about $3 billion worth of worth. They had $25 million worth of new construction, anywhere from a new hatchery to new offices. 10 million into handicap accessibility at state parks. An additional 30 million to go towards lands, 13 of that for maintenance and 17 of that for acquisition of more land. They talked a lot about chronic wasting disease. They expect this year they were spending approximately $3 million battling the chronic wasting issue, and there was a lot of questions from counties that are affected by that. Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, they had, I believe it was 12 million they're looking for to install about 120 charging stations throughout the state for the electric cars. There's a lot of questions from counties on new landfills and managing waste in general. Both of them didn't allow a lot of time for questions. Kind of wish there would have been a little more of an opportunity there, but it was definitely interesting to hear what they had to say.
All right, the 18th, attended the workshop, and then had a meeting with admin later that week, and then really my last week through my role as a sergeant in the police department at Hutch, I attended the Blandon Community Leadership Program. That was through the police department, but I cheated and got some good information for the county too, and I plan to bring that back for us to use when we can, and I think that'll be beneficial for us as well. So, Ron?
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Also, on the 18th, we had the workshop and the Health and Human Services Committee meeting. And again, we talked about a lot of the issues that Rich had brought up, and I've later on in the AMC conference I heard some more about those issues. So on the 19th we had the McLeod treatment program meeting, the monthly meeting there. Things are going good. We've got lots of room for additional clients there, and our staff is working hard to fill a lot of those vacant spots so that they can keep the program running. On the 20th, we had the Pioneer Land Library Executive and Finance Committee meeting. Everything is going well with the Pioneer Land Libraries. We did have an issue with the New London Library, and requesting the City of New London to look at improvements in the facilities up there. On the 26th and 27th, I was at the AMC Legislative Conference in St. Paul, and primary focus was to meet and work with legislators on the issues that are important to counties. One of them being county-based purchasing to protect the status of counties who choose to do their own, medical assistance programs under the financial assistance of the Minnesota DHS, Department of Human Services. I was able to meet with probably a dozen or more legislators. Rich and I met with Representative Grunhagen and Erdahl and Senator Newman, had very good discussions with them. They gave us extra time because we're really good people. And then I met with some of my old friends as legislators as well. So I probably had about a dozen different meetings at the Capitol, and it was a really, really beneficial conference to attend. On Thursday morning, we had our Health and Human Services Policy Committee meeting. We had discussion about our work around the Capitol, and then we heard from the Commissioner of the Department of Human Services, Jody Harpstead, who kind of let us know that she's still going to pursue the counties to repay the funds that they had requested last fall. She said she's under federal obligation to secure those funds. So we kind of scratched our head and says, who do we believe? Then the next speaker was the commissioner from the Minnesota Department of Health, Jan Malcolm, and we talked about the coronavirus and how preparations are underway across Minnesota. So it was a very good conference. Then that afternoon I was invited over to the AMC headquarters, and we had a committee meeting with the Minnesota Association of County Social Services. There again, we were talking about some of the issues with the Department of Human Services and how we proceed with the department to make sure that we get our issues at the county level understood and enacted at the Department of Human Services. Friday the 28th, we had the SWAC meeting. We talked about the community drop sites for recycling facilities, and that's coming along. We'll see some action on that in the near future, I hope. And then in the afternoon, we had a negotiation sessions with one of our bargaining units, and we're moving ahead in that process as well. And that is it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Doug?
It's nice to be on the end. Most everything's been covered, but on the 18th, after our board meeting, I also attended the workshop on Health and Human Services Community Health board meeting. On the 19th, we actually had 7 interviews for our STS lead. We had some really good candidates, and it's nice to know that there was that many out there that were applying for the position. On the 24th, I had a conference call on public drainage, basically statewide, but it covers mostly the ag districts for MRC and Maud, Wright County, and McLeod County. On the 25th, I had Buffalo Creek Watershed Board meeting. Discussions there was there's some fairly large drainage improvements and repairs being done. With them, we discussed, there was discussion on on-land storage and the cost of on-land storage and who's to bear those costs. So, at least it was brought out, obviously McLeod County is on the receiving end of a lot of water coming west. And in that, also in that discussion, we discussed the Morningside drainage, which kind of ties in with my 26th meeting I had with HRA. Our HRA home sit along Morningside and obviously in need of some drainage that's incorporated into the Morningside project. On the 28th, we had our SWAC meeting. Commissioner Szymanski touched on that. We're looking into our drops on how to situate them through the county and make it convenient and yet efficient for our constituents to use them and for us to get rid of it. Yesterday I attended the SWCD board meeting. Also discussed those drainage, conservation lands, and obviously on-land storage is a big topic now on drainage and affordability of getting it in both for clean water and obviously not to flood out communities along rivers. That brings us to today.
Sheila, anything to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I would like to announce the resignation of our Health and Human Services Director, Julie Erickson. Her final day of employment with McLeod County will be on March 15th. And then next, I would like to welcome our new Employee Relations Director, Hannah Schoflat. She's here today and going to introduce herself to you. Welcome.
Yeah, hi, I'm Hannah Schoflat. I'm really excited to be diving into this new position as Employee Relations Director, or as many people know, this is the HR Director. I'm in day 2, so I've got it figured out, working on names, and I felt extremely welcomed by the team, and really looking forward to diving into the county. So thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Sheila, you take item A.
Thank you. Consider revising Resolution 20CB06, appointing Commissioner Wright to the Association of Minnesota Counties Transportation Committee and Commissioner Kruger to the Association of Minnesota Counties Environment and Natural Resources Committee.
Mr. Chair, move to approve of the revising Resolution 2006.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item B, consider revising Resolution 20CB08, removing Corey Stearns from the Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board and appointing Matt Belke to the Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board.
I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item C, consider approval to hold a closed county board meeting on March 17, 2020, following the regular county board meeting to discuss the possible purchase of real property.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item D, notification of McLeod County workshop to be held on March 17, 2020, following the county board meeting. We'll be back at the Glencoe City Center Ballroom, 1107 11th Street East, Glencoe, Minnesota. And item E, Will Feltman, our jail administrator, will come up and help present that. Additional item.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for getting me on at short notice. I'm here requesting approval to purchase a 2020 Chevy Express cargo van from Ranger Chevrolet in Hibbing, Minnesota at a Minnesota state contract price of $23,593.60. The van's going to be used for the Sentence to Service program. I did attempt to find a used or currently made option out there. Reached out to a lot of different dealers. The vans out there were quite a bit more expensive than this option. So it's in our best interest to go ahead with this purchase and get it ordered We're gonna have to co-use the current van, the Sprinter van, until we get this van, but that won't be a huge issue.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'd just like to note that we've been working with Chief Deputy Langenfeld and well. This item was previously budgeted when we requested for the Sentence to Serve program to come in-house. However, we were hopeful that we would not need to purchase this van and be able to use the existing Sprinter van. We're finding that this will be the best option because sharing that equipment is not a possibility for the everyday use for the Sentence to Serve program. However, we need to know by Thursday this week if we can purchase this van at this price, and that's the reason for the additional agenda item instead of bringing it to you on March 17th.
All right, thank you for explaining that. All right.
What fund is it coming out of?
Sheila, what fund would it come out of?
I'm sorry, I don't have the account number with me.
It'd be out of the sheriff's office.
Sheriff's Office, so.
01257. I don't know what that account is for.
That's the STS budget, isn't it?
Yes, that's budget.
Yep, that's
Okay.
his budget.
All right, thank you.
Bob. We do have Colleen over helping out at social services with one of our employees being out with a medical issue, so she would have been here to talk about finances as well.
But again, it was budgeted, right?
It was budgeted, yes.
That's all,
Yep.
thanks.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Question on sales tax. I see on the document provided there's sales tax applied on this vehicle. Are we exempt on sales tax or?
Yeah, we'll reach out to,
No, Mr. Chair, the reason there's sales tax is because this is an unmarked vehicle, and we do have to pay sales tax on the vehicle. I worked with Chief Deputy Langenfeld yesterday to confirm
Thank you
that.
for clearing that up for us.
Sorry, Will, you weren't at that part of the meeting.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
it's probably a dumb question, but then why don't we put a mark, why don't we mark the vehicle?
It's not a dumb question, I asked the same one, so we'll try and work on that, and if we can mark it, we will.
I mean, it's, to me, it's a program that should be working, and we're gonna be proud of it, so why not throw our McLeod County, if that's all it takes. I mean, appreciate you working on it.
I did ask them, however, for the sake of time, they had an emergency situation going on and he needed to be elsewhere, and I will ask him more about it, but we're hoping to have up to this approved in the case that we cannot. Avoid sales tax.
Okay. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Will, this is cargo van, does it include seating for passengers as well?
Nope, sitting on the floor.
Well, buckets maybe,
12 passengers.
Okay.
That's right, yes.
but you will you also outfit it then with any extra equipment storage, shelving or anything? Or?
The van itself, no, we did get a trailer that we can pull, and the van will make sure it's coming with a trailer package.
Commissioner Smansky, there will be a shelving sufficient added into the trailer that they'll be using. Dwayne Radke has been working closely with Will and let them know what will be needed for shelving to carry the equipment that they have for the workers.
Okay. And this will have the V8 engine in it?
Yes, sir.
So plenty of power to pull the trailer.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, we're developing a very good asset for the county and we need a vehicle, so move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Kruger, any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks,
Mr. Chair, we've been talking about STS for the people at home. We ought to let them know that that's sentenced to service. That's an alternative to incarceration or community work service.
Thank you very much. All right, item F. Well, unless Sheila objects, we'll turn that over to Rich.
Mr. Chair, in this item, came up to my attention, I was not able to attend the Planning Commission meeting because of AMC conference, but talking with our Environmental Service Director and the applicant, the reason for the pulling this, I would move to table it at this point and allow Mr. Peterson a chance to attain the easement he needs for traveling his trucks from the pit to the proper roads.
Table for how long, and is there a request and agreement to waive the 60-day rule?
Table till the 17th of March, till our next meeting, and there's...
Do we need a waiver of the 60 days if we go to that date?
I think at this point we do not.
Okay.
All right. I'm Rich only because I want to talk to Mark. I'm going to throw your motion. I'm going to throw your motion out. Okay?
I'll pull my motion.
Mark, can you talk about this a little bit?
I can. And this was an error on my part, mainly because there was some misinformation that was granted to our department in regards to a primary haul route that would go out to Airport Road.
Okay.
Ordinance allows for us, or it asks for us to mitigate some of the impacts in regards to gravel mining. One of them being is we want to get to hard surfaces as soon as possible so that we don't impact a lot of our gravel roads, whether they're county or township, and to minimize the dust, because those are typically concerns that we have with mining permits. With that being said, the closest direction would be to Airport Road. The applicant has not provided us written easement on that. It was requested. He suggested that he would have that no later than yesterday. Has not been able to provide that to us. I did talk to the applicant on Friday several times, and he's claiming that's still at the attorney's office. So with that being said, I would ask, or I would support this item being tabled as well to March 17th. And if that easement is not provided to us, then we would look at that primary and secondary haul route and amend that.
All right, any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mark, would the concerns on this issue, would it be beneficial to send this back to the Planning and Zoning Committee rather than bring it back at the next board meeting?
At this time, I would say not. The concern is in regards to the primary haul route. There wasn't a lot of objection in regards to the pit activity itself. It's just which direction the material would travel. And obviously, the applicant being in close proximity to the city of Hutchinson, obviously would like to come off of that paved area because it is the shortest distance, potentially save him some cost in regards to two-way hauling. In regards to us, we need to mitigate the public's concern. And some of the objections that have came up are directly in relation to that primary haul route running out to the north and around a residence property. And so if that easement cannot be secured, then obviously our options are fairly limited to adjust that haul route and make the primary haul route out 160th to the south.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mark, is there an existing haul route out to 160th from
Yes, there is.
this parcel?
There is, yes.
So there would be no new construction required or anything?
That is correct.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? All right. I would now, go ahead, Rich.
Okay, I will move to table this item till our March 17th meeting, allowing the time to take care of the possible easements.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright.
Can
All
we
in
put
favor?
it for a specific time so that the audience or anybody knows? Is there a specific time on the 17th?
We could do right away at like 9:05.
9:05.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. All right, we will have a closed meeting. I do not anticipate, Michael, any action
Correct.
after
So,
that.
yeah, what we were going to be doing is an evaluation of County Administrator Sheila Murphy, who's been on the job now for 6 months. The statute allows us to have a closed meeting for a person under the direct administration and supervision of the board, which Ms. Murphy is. This is not a public portion of the meeting. We will publish and provide a summary of what took place in the evaluation session at our next meeting.
All right, because we don't anticipate any action, I would open up the public forum. Does anyone wish to address the board?
Do you want to wait until the 17th to hear with Mr. McLeod, who provided the concerns as far as the conditional use permit?
I think that makes the most sense, but it is a public, it is an open forum, so if you wish to, you may.
I think I'd be fine to make a brief statement now, and maybe we need more detail on 17.
Go ahead, yeah, come on up. Just procedurally, when it's tabled, it gets shut off, so.
Okay.
But yeah, you're welcome to address the board.
I think everyone's received and hopefully had a chance to...
If you could introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dan Nicolaisen, I live at 1150 Airport Road. I raised concerns with conditional use permit 20-01. because it recommended a primary haul route that included my private driveway to my residence. I have a permanent easement to that property. Randy Peterson did try to use this route illegally in the fall of 2018. It was highly disruptive to my family. We had safety concerns. There's damage to the driveway that left unresolved. I'm the only party that takes care of that driveway and maintains it. So I really have a strong objection to that even being an option for removing significant quantities of gravel over our driveway for a 5-year time period. There's safety concerns for my family. I think there's safety concerns for the people traveling on Airport Road. It's challenging enough just for us to get in our driveway without people flying around us and passing illegally to the right when we're waiting for oncoming traffic to turn in. I think with a high amount of gravel truck traffic, there'd be a public safety issue as well. I think it'd also be a significant impact to my property value. If I were to have to sell in the next 5 years, I think it'd be really problematic to find a buyer willing to share their driveway with a mining operation.
Okay. Anything else?
No, you have any questions for me?
Does the board have any questions?
Mr. Chair, I don't have any questions. I didn't comment on it being it was tabled. I mean, you did a nice job laying it out in your letter, and we have some time now to really go through. And so I didn't see any point in bringing it up today.
Yeah, it's probably, since it's tabled, we probably shouldn't ask too much. Okay.
All right, thank you for your time. Thank you.
Mr. Mahan?
Attorney Daniel Mahan, Mr. Nick License, legal representation. I have nothing to add. I think he did a good job of explaining what his objections are and why he feels that it would be in the public's best interest to go with the south route.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Press relations, anything? All right, I need a motion to close the meeting.
Motion to close the meeting. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski, second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.